There is a message that the Chovos HaLevavos has for us. I don't think that I would have been able to see it from the Chovos HaLevavos had I not seen in your Rav Yerucham pointing out this lesson that the we are wired. I know this is almost hard to believe because of the evidence in the world seems so contrary. We are wired to feel indebted and mishuabad. We feel a certain deference to anyone who we have received a hatava from. Anybody who has been a benefactor triggers a natural sense of shiabud. What would be a word for shiabud? It's more than just deference. It is um, indebtedness to the point where I feel like the relationship between a master and a servant. That is built in, wired into the human condition. In fact, we need to even understand the force that operates against that. The force that causes people to not feel indebted and not respond appropriately to the sense that they have received benefit is really at the core of where the Yetzer lives in our existence, and that's the core of where the force, the opposing force. That was uh, what Adam was not able to relent to. He wasn't able to um, embrace his indebtedness and the concomitant shibud that indebtedness brings with it. I think that there was one great Rebbe who once said about somebody who was treating him very, very badly. And he said, I don't understand why he's treating me so badly. I don't remember doing him any big favor. And that summarizes the work that we need to do regarding our relationship with Hashem. In other words, the mechanism is such that a person who stops and considers the degree and the extent to which Hashem is the Meitiv, and he's the Hatov v'Hameitiv, to the extent that the person recognizes Hashem's Hatava, there is a almost necessary, I think that's the way that the Chovos HaLevavos describes it. There's a necessary sense of deference, and the idea that I then can judge Hashem becomes impossible. The idea that I can still feel entitled me is a reflection that I have not yet worked through my sense of indebtedness, because indebtedness is the opposite of entitlement. And when a person feels entitled, it means that they did not sufficiently internalize their sense of indebtedness. And so, even when we're talking about something catastrophic, like a loss of life, Rahman al or loss of lives in the case of freedoms, loss of possessions, loss of a huge portion of Klal Yisrael, as was the case in the Holocaust. The ability of a person to challenge Hashem in such a decision is always a reflection of the fact that the person did not embrace their Hakaras Hatov. There is such a system in place, and it's wired, that if you just focus sufficiently on the degree to which you are a beneficiary, you will arrive at shibud. And the Ramban understands this as being the essence of the first of the 10 commandments. The fact that we are able to acknowledge that we were slaves and we go to that experientially. We don't just go to that intellectually. We go to that experientially. The sense of what a slave would feel if he was freed. What would somebody who was undergoing oppressive slavery, if you want to think about the captives who are still alive and suffering in their captivity, imagine for a moment that they were suddenly released from that captivity and they were able to identify the one who took them out of that captivity. That should, by the wiring of a human being, obligate the person in a deferential relationship with the one who freed them forever. And if we then couple that with the fact that the one who freed us from that slavery didn't just do a one-time act of redemption, that would be enough by itself, but he is the Tov v'Hametiv on an ongoing basis, we would be able to get from Yetzias Mitzrayim to all of the mitzvos. And that is, according to the Ramban, that is the first commandment. It is to be able to receive everything else that Hashem is going to direct us to, which of course are only to our benefit. It's only so that we will come closer to Him, so that we will have eternal benefit from those mitzvos. But He wants us to be able to do it willingly. And in order to help us do it willingly, He has wired us to have a relationship with our benefactors. And when that relationship, we haven't worked that out, we end up rebelling because we are beneficiaries. We're not just rebelling because we feel like rebelling. We rebel because internally we experience that being a beneficiary carries with it a profound sense of relationship to the benefactor. In the Western world, the notion of a benefactor is Superman. That's the notion of somebody who comes and saves the person who's in distress. But Superman always does the same thing. He then disappears. He does not call on the person to have a relationship with him. He always then flies off into the sunset to go save somebody else. And so it never works as developing a relationship, which is exactly why in the Western world, they don't have a concept of the relationship that is built around indebtedness. And so the message that we're supposed to take, and I cringe because it's a message that has been so trampled that we are beneficiaries. And we're supposed to reenact that every year on a very graphic level. We're supposed to eat maror, and we're supposed to eat matzah, and we're supposed to experience, to the extent that we can experientially, that we were slaves and we were redeemed. And that has implications. If you stop and think about any small thing, if you have a leak in your house, chas v'shalom, and somebody comes along and helps you, and now he managed to take care of the leak. So you feel indebted. You want to pay him. But when he says he's not a person who's going to take money, he's a person who is a friend, and he came to do it as a close friend because he saw that you were in distress and he wanted to help out. So he fixed the leak. And many people, like, they don't know what to do with that. What am I supposed to do next? And they just want to be able to give money or be able to do something, some compensation back, some sort of a reciprocal arrangement. You do for me, shmor li, shmor lecha. We'll do some sort of reciprocal relationship. But in the end of the day, if you do something for the other person, it just adds to the good that is in the world. It doesn't in any way cancel out the good that you received. And good that was received always carries with it the press, the press on the person's sense of autonomy and independence. That if a person insists on being autonomous and independent and not being beholden to the indebtedness, what will invariably happen is going to be distance and rejection. So this is just the opening of a big subject where the Chovos HaLevavos was able to make the jump from recognizing Hashem's kindness in the world, his brilliance, his kindness, Hatov HaMeitiv, in the Shar HaBechina, and he was able to go from there directly to Shar Avodas Elokim. Well, if you've gotten step A, then step B follows. He didn't even need, so to speak, the Pesach Seder, the Yetzias Mitzrayim. Hashem gives us Yetzias Mitzrayim to work with. Anochi Hashem Elokecha, Asher Hotzesicha Meretz Mitzrayim. There is the preface for us to have the relationship that allows there to be Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shamayim.